People with ongoing migration matters often need access to information held by immigration, and so they make what are commonly called FOI requests. If unhappy with the decision made in response to their FOI request, say because a key document was not released or the decision was not made within the 30-day statutory time frame, they can apply to the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, or OAIC, for what is known as IC review. Now, this was not always the case. Before we had the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, for the purpose of such reviews, there was direct access to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, or AAT. One advantage of the AAT undertaking an FOI review is that if you are successful before the AAT, you can, for your trouble, get a recommendation that your costs be paid by the Commonwealth. Of course, FOI matters can still find their way to the AAT if a person is unhappy with the decision of the Information Commissioner, or indeed if the Information Commissioner declines to review on the basis that review by the AAT is more desirable. Recently, the Australian Conservation Foundation Incorporated, or ACF, found its way to the AAT because the information had declined to review an FOI decision concerning them made by the Minister for Environment. Now, the ACF was indeed successful before the AAT. However, notwithstanding that, they were unable to get a costs recommendation. Indeed, the AAT found that costs recommendations are unavailable in matters coming to the AAT because of a decline to review decision by the Information Commissioner. This would be the case even if the person was entirely successful before the AAT, and even if all the relevant factors considered in making a costs recommendation, such as the reasonableness of the original FOI decision, all weighed in favour of a costs recommendation. In making its decision, the AAT acknowledged that there are policy considerations which might be thought to favour the ability to make costs recommendations in such cases. However, in light of OAIC-related amendments to the FOI Act, such costs recommendations were not available in these types of matters. This decision, of course, presents an added hurdle to people seeking access to material held by ministers and agencies. And whilst the FOI guidelines record an intention for the Information Commissioner to review most FOI decisions, this AAT decision concerning ACF comes in the face of growing numbers of decline to review decisions being made by the Information Commissioner, with there having been 139 such decisions in the last financial year as compared to only 16 in the 2017-18 financial year. Perhaps in light of the AAT's decision concerning ACF, the Information Commissioner might put less matters in, let's call it, the too hard basket. Of course, like FOI applicants, the Information Commissioner may well be caught between a rock and a hard place with insufficient resources to complete more complex FOI reviews. As an example, the processing time for an IC review matter concluded earlier this year in which I was involved, which perhaps might have been a candidate otherwise for a decline to review decision, was almost 3 years. The takeaway for people with ongoing migration matters needing access to material held by immigration must be to make your FOI request as early as possible. Thank you for listening.